Right, so here we are on the allotment. Just going to test out the audio more than anything. So we're just looking at the first corner with the dividing path between us and our neighbours going up the left hand side there. This is the rhubarb we inherited. Down to 3 clumps now. Removed some. There was a couple of vines growing up on the left hand side there, but got rid of those with a view to putting in a tayberry on that side with some framing structure. That's the 10 30-litre pots ready for the main crop Sarpo Mira potatoes. They're all prepared, ready to rock and roll. Just moving over. This is the fruit bush bed, as was. We've still retained some of the original fruit bushes that we inherited. It'll be interesting to see what they turn out to be. And this section here was full of autumn raspberries, which we thought about saving, or at least thinning out, but then we discovered that there was just way too much bindweed and brambles mixed in, and it was just going to be an absolute mess. So we've lifted those, shoved down some manure, popped on a membrane, and the plan is to plant through it with some rambling squashes. So we'll see how that goes. Really, they're just a good way of covering a lot of ground in the first year when we're struggling to cultivate the whole plot. So, as you've seen, there's a bath there. There's another one over there. So this strip here is intended to have the baths just lengthways, butting up against one another. One was going to have carrots in it, and the other is going to have parsnips. So moving on to the wooden beds we've put in this year. So we've got 6 up this strip with the membrane. There's quite a problem with bindweed on this site, so an awful lot of what we're going to do is stopping or trying to stop that coming up. So we've got 6 beds done there, 3 more beds over there. Garlic has just gone in here, which has been fleeced. So this is using the no-dig method, as much as you can do it on a new plot, because there's an awful lot of levelling to be done and stones to be removed. So these plots have basically been levelled, then they've been covered with manure, cardboard, and then bags of compost on top of that. At the moment, our neighbouring plot has not been taken, so we're a little bit concerned that we may end up with a lot of weed seeds coming in from there, as if the battle with weeds wasn't bad enough. So just moving up along here. So there's a grand plan for various things to go in here. As it's north facing up this way, there's probably you can see from occasional glimpses of my shadow that the sun is behind me. So we're intending to put the taller crops at the back here. So if we're going to have any beans, then they're going to be slotted in there. And the only thing they're going to be shading is this rather horrible, dilapidated looking compost bin. Again, we've inherited this, we didn't make this ourselves. And we're gradually going through it. The idea is just to get rid of the soil in it, which we don't really know its origin, and it's full of bindweed, so we're just sifting through that, and then we're going to just reconstruct it. This is also the shed that we've inherited, bomb-proof apparently. It's been around for quite a while, and it's needing some tender loving care, so I might lavish some time on that when time allows. Massive great holly bush to the side there, which may be a little bit of a maintenance nightmare. So moving on to the water butt that I've put in. So the water source is a bit of a trek away, so it's nice to have a little bit of water just down this end, because the water source is the other way. So behind here, well, this is where the foxhole was. Can't really see it in this light, but I filled it in, and it's obviously a dormant one because the foxes have not dug it out again or made a hole anywhere else. that's assuming it is a foxhole. It could have been, it might have been a storage place for canes or something, and that's where I got the one of the baths was hiding in there. So just having a look, this is what we think is an apple tree we've inherited, in desperate need of pruning. That's one of the things on the task list, and that's been mulched. So these bags primarily filled with the autumn raspberries that we culled. I've just rediscovered a bed there which was covered in weeds and probably will end up being covered in weeds again, but it's interesting because it seems to span over across the line of the midline of the communal path, so I'm not really sure how much of that is ours or what, but that'll be something we can probably put something into. So moving on to this end, this is the second half of the plot. This was the strawberry bed, and that's the strawberry frame, and the previous occupant has rather kindly left us a strawberry net that we can put over that. So the plan is we're putting in some new strawberries in there. We've hiked out the old ones, which we don't know how long they've been kicking around for, and courgettes in this bed. So they've both been manured and had their membrane relaid. So these three beds still have to be levelled and bedded in, and then have their compost put on. And so it may well end up that we don't have all the beds planted up. That seems to be one of the trickiest things to suss out as newbie allotmenteers, is just working out what we're going to put where and the successional planting. So we got to take a little while to get our heads around that. This is going to be the flower bed. It's actually in the notes of the allotment that we were given, the joiner's pack that said you weren't allowed flowers, but speaking to people on here, that's old news and you are allowed flowers. So we're going to have dahlias and various nice things going in here, but only really things that we can plant through the membrane, because again it's absolutely riddled with bindweed. So if we were just trying to plant annuals into the soil, they would just get smothered. So we're going to have fairly sizable species going in here and doing their thing. Right, and back to the potato pots, all prepped and ready. So they're half filled with a mix of the soil from here, after going through it to remove the stones and the bindweed, and manure and some bagged compost. So they're all mixed up and ready to go. So the potatoes are chitting and about to be popped into them. So that basically is it. So there's lots to do, he says, tripping over the plot number, but it's feeling like it's getting there, even though it's still looking a little bit like a bomb site. But I'm sure people with plots can relate to that, especially this time of year. Thanks for watching.